What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the post-mortem where we break down the game between Manchester United and Bayern Munich, and we are out of Europe. We've crashed out of Europe, deservingly so, given how the campaign's gone so far. We've played horrendous almost in every single game, and today's game felt a bit like shut up shop. Let's just try and nick one. We'd never seemed to really go for it at the end, and the inevitable was always there, and Bayern Munich end up scoring. There's some pretty damning stats that I want to get into and some records that we broke for all the wrong reasons again. But before we get into that, Adam, just tell me what you made of the game in general and just the Champions League campaign as a whole.
Well, looking at tonight, I think one thing's obvious is I thought it was a little bit better defensively, but then again, it's like we sacrificed everything up front just to defend and keep them out. And at the end of the day, I would have rather us just throw the kitchen sink at it, have somewhat of a chance, and actually create chances, because I know we're going to get into the stats eventually, but one shot on target is not good enough. And it was a Luke Shaw shot outside the box. That's just not good enough. I didn't feel like at any point during the game, you know what, we have a chance here. Possibly the only time I thought that would have been halftime when it was 0-0 and we weren't 3-0 down. As a whole, the campaign has been nothing but a disaster. We seem to not have any issues with scoring goals in Europe this season till tonight when we needed to score goals. Yeah. But our issue has been at the back for 90% of the games, and then tonight it was actually up front. I don't know where we go, honestly, from here. Obviously, thankfully, it's not the Europa League for once. That's the only positive I will take from tonight, that we didn't win. Because even if we did win, we would have been in the Europa League, and I wouldn't have wanted that. So, look, in hindsight, well, not really hindsight, but in terms of looking at the future, it might be a good thing that we actually crashed out tonight.
Yeah, I agree with you in that sense, but I also think from the club's perspective, they'll be disappointed because obviously financially it's not great for him, is it? For FFP reasons and all these kind of things. I mean, I asked most fans before the game when I was live on TikTok, I was live on YouTube, and I said, would you rather just crash out and just focus on Premier League and FA Cup? And the majority, the general consensus was like, yeah, because it had that kind of feeling about it that even if we was, to kind of advanced by some sort of miracle today, how far we realistically going with a team like that. Like, we are a very average team, and that was on display today. Sam, likewise, I'll come to you on the Champions League. A lot of disappointing things. I mean, I've just sent you something there. Again, have you got it? Just because it's pretty.
Yeah, I've got it.
Yeah. Can we put it on the screen?
You want me to put it on the screen?
If
do you want to ask me the question while I do this? And then...
Yeah, I thought usually we go from goalkeeper and defence to attack, don't we? But what did you make of Rasmus today?
I think he had the lowest amount of touches of any player by half. I think he had 18 touches. I think Onana had double the amount of touches he had, which sort of sums up our attack, really, doesn't it? What it's like. I think we're not feeding the kid. We're not giving him any service whatsoever. We've got forwards in Anthony and Garnacho who want to shoot on sight and they want a goal. We've got Bruno, who I don't know if you remember that shot that he had outside the box where it was a small chance and he blazes it into Rosette. And it's just when you're surrounded by people like that, it's a fucking dog shift, isn't it? It's a graveyard shift as a United striker. You could put Haaland in there. He isn't scoring. He's not fucking scoring because he's not going to get any service. No one's going to give him the ball. No one's going to put balls into the box. Nobody's going to play through balls or balls in back. Nobody's going to do any of that shit because they all want to score and they all want the glory and they all want to play for themselves rather than play for a team with a style of play and focus on a figurehead in Rasmus Højlund. And I just feel sorry for the guy, man. I do. I really, really feel sorry for him. And a lot of people got on Martial's back on Saturday for the Bournemouth thing. But it's what's he supposed to do? What's he supposed to live off, man? The dude he's lost his pace because his injuries stop him from running any quicker than 2 miles an hour. And he's not getting the service anyway. So it's just it's a graveyard shift, man, for strikers. fucking graveyard shift.
I agree with you. It is a graveyard shift, but at the same time, he did fail to hold the ball up at certain times, which was frustrating there because we'd get into the final third, he'd get at his feet, and I just thought Kim Min Jae and Upamecano in particular were just physically dominating him in every kind of aspect. But I do agree with the service.
I can't put that thing on the thing because it's just not saving as a JPEG for some reason, which is really annoying.
No problem. So what it is basically for people who can't visibly see it, before Sir Alex Ferguson retired, quarterfinal, round of 16 group stage, semi-final, winners final, quarterfinal, final group stage, and then round of 16. So the round of 16 was literally the lowest we ever finished under Fergie since after 2000. Since Fergie retired, quarterfinal did not qualify, group stage did not qualify, group stage, quarterfinal did not qualify, group stage, round of 16 did not qualify, group stage. The fact, Adam, that we didn't qualify was embarrassing, but bottom of the group, in a group with Copenhagen, Galatasaray, is pretty fucking embarrassing, isn't it?
It's completely embarrassing. And let's not kid ourselves. When we got this group, we were thinking, oh, Bayern Munich, oh, that's going to be a tough one. But looking at the other teams, we were licking our lips. We were like, okay, this is an easy enough group, but easily we can get second. That's what we were thinking at the start of the season, even though I know we had a bit of a rough start as well. But at no point should we be finishing behind these teams, them two teams. It's completely shocking. Is the level of their game so much better than us? And we're meant to be one of the biggest clubs in the world. It's just not right. It isn't.
Seventh gear today, not seventh. Seventh gear. Like I think I've seen Paul Scholes just say they could have gone if they wanted to. They could have gone up levels. Mm-hmm. It was just like they felt like it was a bit of one of them matches that like it played. Didn't really matter to them.
No, it didn't matter to them, and they look like the team that wanted it more, and that says everything. And I think that's just the mentality in the squad right now. I just don't think you're gonna win anything when you have a starting midfield with Scott McTominay in it. I don't know why he's been starting him at this point. He's signing his own debt warrant, the manager. I don't know. It's almost like he does want to go by continuously starting this guy. I know he's popped up with some big goals, but the cons outweigh the pros to do. I know I went off a bit off topic there. Sorry.
No, but just on the midfield, whilst you're on that point, I felt like I think some sort of commentary might have been Owen Hargreaves, who said if they set up like this, when they went 3-1 up against Galatasaray, or even when they went up in Copenhagen or wherever, you see the games out, and it's just simple game management. Like I don't get why it's taking this long to figure out. Like, oh, actually, let's drop Bruno a little bit deeper. Maybe play Scott further up. I know it lacked when we got to the final third, but at least then it's still you're not conceding 4 goals every fucking game, innit?
Exactly. And we've seen it countless times over this Champions League campaign as well. When Scott has actually started, the space is always in behind. It's even in the league it's happened, and we've been caught out so many times. Okay, he pops up with the odd goal here and there, and had a clutch moment, but the cons outweigh the pros, and we need somebody. I don't know why he hasn't been starting somebody like Kobe Manu right now. He started him there for a game or two, played really, really well. Arguably our best player on the pitch when he did play, and then he just stops playing him. He does. I know he's a young lad, and it's a lot of pressure, and then all the hype comes with that. But look at Garnacho now. He's taking it in his stride. He is. Sometimes if you're good enough, you're old enough. That was always the saying. And right now, he's the only one that's good enough to actually perform in that midfield and actually offer what Scott doesn't offer. And that's actually, not hiding in possession. He actually makes runs off the ball and just football intelligence in it. And I said it to my father as well when I was watching the game. Squad just lacks somebody with football intelligence altogether.
He's not had his top off for a while, has he? Celebrating goals.
He has not. It's been a long time. Which is a good thing, trust me.
Well, depending on your perspective, I suppose. Sam, with just 4 points, the 2023-24 Champions League group stage amassed United's lowest ever points total in the competition. It's also the first time they've been eliminated from Europe before Christmas in a year where they participated since 2005. What are your thoughts on that?
Pathetic, spineless. I can't believe we scored, I think, is it equal the most amount of goals in the Champions League? And we've still gone out at the group stage.
Yeah.
Like, how, I don't understand how that's possible. How you can score the most amount of goals in a Champions League campaign and still not qualify for the next round. Like, that's insanity. We've brought it up on ourselves, man. Like, we've had every single game we've played, apart from this one, we've had it in the bag and we've been winning. We've been in the lead, we've had the game by the scruff of net, and we've scored the goals and we've had it and we've chucked it away ourselves. Literally, in some cases. Like Onana chucked it in his net God knows how many times. Given up the ghost in Dalot and not checking your man. Let people score. Like, we've given it away in every single game. The only game we didn't, and we almost fucking did, was the Copenhagen game where Onana saved the penalty. And we almost fucked that up as well if he hadn't saved it. So it's just, it's at the point now, like, you can't, United, the players can't, like, they were on the pitch, like, upset and stuff like that. It's your fucking fault. Like, you chucked it away, lads. Like, every single game. It's not like it was a one-off game and we just missed out. 4 or 5 games, you've chucked this in the bin. And you've done it, so I don't know why you're upset, because you fucking did it. You had another game, the game after, to try and rectify it, and you fucked that up. And you had another game, and then you fucked that up. I'm done with these players. Like, I'm done with 90% of these players, man. I'm done with them because
it feels like the season's just dead now, innit?
Yeah, I'm fucking had enough, man. Like, I'm so, like Adam said, I'm so glad Europa League's not a factor. I'm so happy because I'd have to watch that shite and watch and pretend like I care that we win it and pretend to fucking give a toss and give previews for the matches and shit. I can't be arsed, man. Like, I literally cannot be arsed with it. And I've got to the point now where, like, I said it on when you guys were doing keep or sell every single fucking one of them. Apart from Garnacho, Mainu, Højlund, and Lissandro. Get rid of fucking a lot of them. I'm sick of them. All of them, man. It's bullshit.
I think the Europe thing as well. I mean, I don't know what Sir Jim Ratcliffe's thinking at this current moment, and everyone who's taken over there, because again, it's going to have implications in effort. They were saying they weren't going to spend in January anyway, and all this kind of stuff. So I don't know what kind of effect it's going to have on that. Be interesting to see what reports you see come out tomorrow. Jay Motti has been tweeting some absolute gold today. He's just put another tweet out saying, "I believe in Father Christmas more than I believe in building a team around Scott McTominay and are the actions of a sober manager."
Can you read the other one as well about his life?
What was it? I can't.
I've got it. Yeah. So he said, "Took my lad tonight. It's getting increasingly difficult to convince him to follow in this club. Is a good way to spend the next 60 years of your life."
It's mate.
Can't blame him.
Your mental health. You know, when you've had a shit day at work or whatever, and you get to the weekend, the one kind of hope you have is that if United win, I can feel a bit of joy about it, a bit of cockiness, a bit of arrogance, a bit of like, you know what, I've had a shit week, but you know, it's a week in, week out now. This is happening, and I can only really see it going one way. It's kind of like when the door's closing, it's on its way closing. It's eventually going to happen, and I just think,
lads, it gets better. It gets better though, because we've got Liverpool at the weekend, and we've just lost, and we've just lost 2 of our players.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We lost Shaw, Maguire. We've got Liverpool, West Ham, and Villa.
Bruno suspended for Liverpool as well.
Bruno suspended for Liverpool. So I don't know who do you play in the 10 against Liverpool? Because judging off that performance from McTominay. That ain't it, mate. That ain't it. I don't know I genuinely don't know what he's going to do against Liverpool. They're looking at that now thinking that back line is so muddled. You've got Johnny Evans, Varane, who's just like, I don't know, here or there. Varane was okay today. There's nothing on him. But then Dalot going from left to right and Wan-Bissaka coming. That is just
by the way,
mess.
Dalot. What the fuck was Dalot doing today? He had me tearing my hair out today. Yeah. Every touch, every pass. Just overhit or underhit, couldn't control, just leg it. Like, honest to God, I'm done with Dalot, man. Like, I kept hoping that, I've seen glimpses and that he might come go. Nah, I'm done with Dalot. I'm fucking, like, do not play him again. Play Wan-Bissaka. Don't play him again.
There's a quote here from the manager, Adam, from Ten Hag, saying, "We made mistakes, some individual errors from more players. In the end, it's not good enough. Today, the performance was very good. We didn't deserve to lose, but we lost the game." Did you think the performance was very good?
Defensively, maybe, but every other department. That was it.
Defensively, I did.
offered nothing.
Defense if you had him, and we still conceded. So
That's everything.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How many shots did we have on target?
One.
On target 1.
Luke Shaw from distance, and it was straight at Noah, and that was it.
Must-win game, and we have 1 shot on target.
That's what I mean.
Home.
It felt like there was no kind of
spark.
There's
no
from
spark.
a fullback.
In the last 10 minutes, just go for it. If you can see a few
Exactly.
more, fuck it. Just go for it, man. Where's the sense of pride? I finished it with your group when you got Copenhagen and Galatasaray in there. It's unforgivable that for me. Really, really is unforgivable. I'm so de-energized by this fucking team at the moment. I've got no hope for us for the next. It's almost not as bad as it was under Ragnick, but it's getting there if these fucking results continue.
He needs to really, really do something, and make a massive decision about certain players. It doesn't matter if it's youth team players that you put into the fray. I know it's not right putting them into a firing squad, but he needs to play players that he trusts, because there's a lot of spoofers on the pitch in the last couple of weeks that do not deserve to be here. And it's a sad reality because a lot of them have signed contracts and they're going to be here for a while. And nobody's going to buy them. Why would anybody buy them? We paid them top dollar.
Do you know what was really funny? There was 2 contradiction stories. I think it was today or yesterday. Anthony Martial, we're not expected to extend his contract so he can leave for free in the summer unless a good offer comes along in January. Who the fuck's buying him? Who the fuck is coming in January to buy Anthony Martial? What the fuck are they talking about? Fucking idiots run this club, man. Honest to God.
Yeah, I'm just going to read some comments out because I appreciate people have actually taken time after that fucking shocking result to come on and put their opinion in. Never looked like scoring, said Tim99. UTFR said, no bollocks, pathetic performance, embarrassing. Andy Williams says, how the fuck do you play Scott over Kobe? Spot on. We don't have the squad to deal with the Europa League. That's true, especially at the minute, the amount of injuries we've got. Someone was shouting at the TV again from the sound of that horse video. Horse voice. Oh, right, it's not about me, yeah. Mate, I was doing more than that at the TV, I'd say that for free. When the fuck is Ratcliffe getting involved? And no one knows, mate. Not genuinely, no one knows. Could be New Year at this point. Call a spade, Andy Williams says. Eric Ten Hag hasn't been playing Varane. Why? Bullshit, all I'm hearing. How naive is Eric Ten Hag to think this team is good enough to play with 1-6? It's certainly just talking points. I mean, I've got to do pros and cons after this. I don't know what the fuck I'm going to talk about because that game was just felt like a dead rubber. Felt like both
cons.
Teams.
Just call it cons.
Yeah.
Just don't put pro in it. There's no need for pro in there.
The only pro I would say with Varane back, we look more stable at the back. That's the only kind of pro I can think of.
Yeah.
And that's experience.
Now we've
there's
just
a
lost.
morality thing with that, right? Because I'm conflicted on that because we all ask as fans, that we want discipline in this team and we want a certain level of standard from players. I'm not talking about performance. I'm talking about, if someone questions the manager or someone's, overstepping the mark and you put them in the place, right? So Eric Ten Hag was doing that with Raphael Varane, but Raphael Varane happens to be one of the best defenders at the club. So then do you sacrifice your discipline and your intent for a performance on the pitch in that set? Do you get what I'm trying to say? It's a little bit conflicting.
Yeah, it is. But I think, okay, do your punishment for a game or two, and the player will learn their lesson.
Not too long.
Yeah, I think he kept them out way too long, and it's cost us in recent weeks. Just because I thought we looked the most stable in defence tonight. Probably tonight was our best defensive performance
as a team as well.
As a team, yeah.
As a team, yeah, I agree with that. Sam, Harry Maguire's obviously out now, so Varane's probably going to be playing more game time, if you like it or not, because Lindelof wasn't available today. Looking at that Anfield game, obviously we're going to do a preview for that, but it doesn't look great.
Do we have to?
Doesn't look great, does it?
Do we have to do a preview for that game?
I don't know that. I don't know the answer to this question. Genuinely.
Lindelof, I wasn't available, but I know he's got an illness, I think, so he could be back for Liverpool. And looking at the way team selections have been going the last couple of weeks, it would not surprise me to see him do Johnny Evans and Lindelof. Wouldn't not surprise me. Like, honest to God. It wouldn't. Like, you look at the selections we've been doing. Like, every fucking week we've said Scott McTominay, man, he's not doing it. And he's played every single week. Rashford, for so long, performing pathetically, kept his place. Anthony keeps getting in this team. I don't know what he's doing. Dalot continually plays over Wan-Bissaka. Again, I don't know what to do. The best I can hope for in this Liverpool game is that we have a performance like this, where defensively we look sound and we only concede one. Yeah. That's the best I can hope for in a minute, because we ain't going to score a goal. Like, let's be real. Like, we ain't scoring, because who's going to score a goal?
Under all, I'm not comparing it to Nagtwala. I'm not doing that. But under all, at least you had the threat on the counter attack. I don't even feel like we have that in a minute. I don't feel like we're playing Højlund in behind. No. I don't think Bruno's picking it up on the spin and playing it. I don't think the wingers are providing him at all. I mean, even certain times when we got to the byline and we did get that one chance to put a cross in, there was like 2 players in the box, and Bayern's packed it with like that was 7 players. That
was on your point as well. Like, the sort of last 15 minutes. Why aren't we committing bodies forward? Why aren't we just piling into the box? Like, Scott McTominay, supposedly this goal scorer, like, comes into the box. Why aren't we just chucking bodies into that box? Why isn't McTominay breaking his neck to get in there? Bruno, Højlund, Anthony, Amrabat. Why aren't they all just sort of breaking their neck to get into the box in case this ball drops and just give us a chance to score? But it wasn't like every time we got towards their third, it was like Anthony on the right. Occasionally Dalot were doing overlap, and it was Højlund waiting for scraps, and then Bruno would balloon the ball over the bar. And that was kind of it. Like, we didn't have any idea what to do when we got to their third, and it was just spine. Like, it's pathetic, man. Like, I'm just, I don't. You always look for something to try and hang your hat on, of like, oh, like, this was all right, or this could be worked on. There was nothing in that. There's nothing I could pick up where I go, okay, at least they would it. Like, there's nothing, man. Absolutely nothing.
Even when you look to the bench in it, Adam, and you're like, you're trying to bring something off. I had a look at the bench before the game, or I think Dan put it in the chat, and I was like, Hugo, Hannibal, not like the young kids. So it's
2 goalkeepers.
2 goalkeepers.
Again, 2 goalkeepers again.
They have got absolutely nothing off the bench to cause serious damage here, and 2 wing backs, I think, all was on the bench as well. It's a lack of squad depth in a weird sense, in it, Adam. Even with like players that are out at the minute, it doesn't necessarily mean that when they come back, it's going to be all rainbows and sunshine.
Smooth sailing. Yeah, it won't be. There's no guarantees on that. The squad needs a bit of a freshening up. I genuinely think we almost need a break. The players look like they're knackered. They do. And I know that James from Muppeteers, he kind of tweeted out a good bit a couple of weeks ago that the manager is heavily focusing on the physicality side of things rather than the tactical side of things. And I think that if that's true, and they're doing all these like high intensity training sessions, they're getting drained out during the week, they are. And we should be, I think, for me, focusing more on the tactics of a side, because sometimes you can even beat a team by doing, you don't necessarily have to outrun another team to beat them. And I know, like, there was a whole thing last season, he made the team run and he took part in that as well. But if you set up tactically well, you can at least get something. You have more of a chance turning up when you actually have a game plan. But we're going into a game and it looks like we don't have a game plan at all. There's no clear evidence of the style of play. And I know his whole philosophy kind of playing from the back and that, and we've lost all that. We've lost our starting number 6, and we have a fella who we brought in on loan, and it might sound harsh, but thank God it was a loan, because he hasn't really stepped up to the plate at all. His first game, I remember, I was like, okay, this guy's the real deal. We're onto something. But it's almost like the whole environment, the whole toxic environment has just dragged everybody down. And that for me is set by clicks in the dressing room, a certain click.
Adam, you could bring any player, name best players and thing, bring them into this United team, they'll look like shit within 6 months.
Yeah. Any manager too.
what you were saying there though about the tactics and physical, I agree with to a certain extent. I also think tactical work with brain dead players is almost impossible because you try to tell McTominay to take it on the half turn and play him in behind or keep all of it at this certain point. He'd be like, I'll run into the box and I'll get on the end of it. You know what I mean? Like there's no there's no tactical discipline throughout the squad. But I think, in my personal opinion, I think the game has gone more towards the athletic side. I heard someone, I can't remember what football it was the other day, a great footballer, but he was talking about how back in the day, you know, you speak about players like Bergkamp, these kind of guys, and Berbatov, like they won't last in this game right now because they're all athletes. Do you know what I mean? It's all like sprinting, like how many sprints per 90 and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And that's where, like, we look at this team now. I'm not saying we have any kind of Bergkamp players, but physically they're not up to it. I just don't think they're up to it at all.
If you look through our squad, who is in there that is a world class player? Because I don't think we have one. Casemiro used to be, but I don't know if he's there anymore. Varane used to be, but injury wise, I don't think he's there anymore. Bruno has never got to that level. Rashford, probably thinks in his head he is, but he isn't.
The new Jesse Lingard.
Yeah, like there's no world class player you can hang your hat on and go, this is the guy you build the team around. Every other team you look at and is surrounded by like players who are quality. So even if you've not got hard workers in the team, or they don't work as hard as think, they're absolute quality and they show up week after week after week. We don't have any of those players, man. Like, there's not a single one in there, and I don't know how you fix that because everybody keeps talking about, Bruno, he is underappreciated, and he does get too much shit, but the dude ain't world class. He isn't. Rashford, like, he likes to think he's the next Kylian Mbappe or whatever. Like, he's not, and I don't know where we go from here because we're Manchester United, so we were built on this thing of like the best players and cream of the crop and all this sort of stuff. We ain't that team anymore, man. Like, we aren't. Like, we're not that team anymore. So we need to think differently about the players that we bring in and the way we sign players and the profile, etc. If you look at Villa, the sort of players they've brought in and the way they've built a team, none of them are like massive world beaters, but quality players. Boubacar Kamara on a free, Leon Bailey, Moussa Diaby, Pau Torres. None of these guys are the world class. None of them cost a fortune, but have built a solid team with foundations and brought through academy products in Ollie Watkins. And now they're smashing it in the third. They've got in a class manager similar to Ten Hag's profile, and they're absolutely smashing it. And we're still trying to sign the next world class guy in like Casemiro and Varane past their prime. Sancho, who's playing FIFA till 3 a.m. Rashford, who we keep going, he's going to be good. The dude's 27. When's he coming good? This is supposed to be his prime right now. When's he coming good? Like, it's such a weird team, man. Such a fucking weird team.
The thing is now, though, this is why I'm conflicted again, because I've backed the manager for a while, but he's had 2 windows now, spent 450 million quid, whatever it is, and the players that he's brought in, Antony, Onana, Mount, Casemiro now. I'm looking at some of them. I'm like, these are his players. If you want to play a certain way, you bring in your guys to play that. And we just haven't seen a sustainable style of football enough for me personally. You know what I mean? You mentioned someone like Villa there. If you've watched Aston Villa this season, the intensity they play at, how organised they are, and when they hit you on the counter attack, they fucking murder you and they score goals. But we are so far away from that as a team.
Not a single world class player in their ranks. No. All really good players, all work for the system and all work extremely hard to what they want to do. We don't have any of those components. We don't have world class players, so we can't rely on individual brilliance anymore. We don't have a system of play. We don't have players who work hard, or we don't have enough of them anyway. So we fail every time. So you've got to have some of those components to make a successful team, and we don't have them. Fucking Brentford have those components. Brentford, man, like, this is a team on a fuck all budget who came up for the Championship, and they have a better playing system, a better infrastructure, and all that sort of stuff than anything we try to do. It's fucking pathetic. Like, it's so pathetic that our clubs run like this. Like,
Well, smash like the video if you thought that was absolutely dog shit. And also subscribe if you are new to the channel. Obviously, we prefer better times, but it is where we're at the moment. Lads, do you want to finally just give us, I'm not going to say man of the match because you can't get a man of the match out of that, but maybe someone who stood out and, amongst the pile of shit that we just watched. Adam?
Well, maybe Varane, just for how we looked defensively, a bit more compact, a bit better as a unit. But that was a whole defensive kind of performance from the team. Midfield got back. I'm trying to think of any standout individual who you could
Do you
say.
think he'll start the next run of games now, Varane?
I think he will. He has no choice. With Maguire out, he has to play him.
Evans and Lindelof don't fill you with confidence, does it? Really?
No,
I think
he'll against Liverpool.
I think he'll stick Amrabat over Varane.
Oh God, no!
I don't think he'll play him.
No.
I don't think I'll put 99.9% of Varane doesn't start against Liverpool.
If he don't start against Liverpool and Evans and Lindelof start, I'm done.
It could be another 7-0 that.
Easily. I mean, look, Johnny Evans came on today. He weren't horrendous, but
no.
I mean, you're at Anfield. The pressure, the level they play at, the intensity. We're gonna get cooked, boys. We're gonna get absolutely cooked. Sorry, Adam. Do you want to finish your point off then?
I know it's just one thing about the manager was I know he's under a lot of criticism now, and you did say it's his players, but a lot of the time he hasn't got his first targets and he has had to chop and change. I think he came in to the club with a clear idea on what he wanted.
Injuries as well.
The profile of the player he wanted. Injuries this season has been a big thing. Initially wanted, I know Sam's going to shiver at the name, Frankie de Jong, had a whole idea of playing a certain style of play. That was thrown out the window, it was then, completely after the pressure on the start. Sure, he was sacked after how many 2-3 games he was. He was already sacked by the media.
Panic buy, and we got Casemiro. Yeah. Casemiro was great last season, but he's a panic buy. He wasn't a plan, he was a panic buy.
No, and if we want long-term sustainability, we had to have a correct footballing department on top, or below us, I suppose, a foundation. There has to be a foundation there, and bringing in players who aren't necessarily world class, what they were, or coming to the end of their career, or buying the one where it's so obvious that they're going to be this next big thing, kind of where they end up overpaying them when they're younger. Look what's happened with Sancho. He's on 375 grand a week. What motivates him to actually play? We should be rewarding players based on performances, these better contracts. And there is that whole example with Rashford. I know he had a good season last season, but we've seen it before. He's one of these players, he's hot and cold. There's no consistency in him. There never has been consistent. Yeah, Katy Perry. That's what we pretty much are. And I think but I wouldn't sack the manager, even if we lose at the weekend.
Well, just hold your thoughts, because that'll be the last question, the very last question. Okay. Sam, anyone stand out at all for you today?
I'd agree with Adam for Varane, but
yeah,
it's the best of a bad situation, really, isn't it? You can't. There's a lot of players I'd rather go in on, and I thought delivered pathetic performances, but yeah, Varane probably stood out among most of them. I think you're right on. Yes, he has had players, he has spent money, and some of them haven't worked, which I agree with totally. Anthony, don't think he's going to work. Onana, big question marks. But then, Casemiro was a panic buy. I don't think it was his plan. I think an opportunity presented itself, and he was like, look, you either get Casemiro or you get nobody. Similar to Ollie. It's it's Donny or no one. And he's just gone, right, sure. Took him. Because like you said, his planned players, if you look at the players he wanted, Kim Min-jae at Bayern, absolutely smashing it. Looks like one of the best defenders on the planet right now. Harry Kane, 22, 23 goals, whatever he's got at Bayern Munich. Frankie de Jong, one of the best press-resistant number 8s. Perfect for what we actually need right now. Absolutely perfect for what we actually need right now. Didn't get him. The list can go on and on and on, the players he wanted and players he would live with. So he didn't get first targets. But yeah, he has got signed players that should be performing better. But again, we should have that structure where his transfer signing shouldn't be his little black book from Holland. Like, that shouldn't be the transfer policy. Players he knows and players he's used and players he's played against. Like, that shouldn't be transfer policy. We should have a clear structure above him to go, right, this is the style you want to play. Okay, we've identified these 5-6 players who I think would fit into the system and would plug the holes that currently, blah. Which ones do you want us to go after? And then they go and work on that. It's what Villa do. It's what City do. It's what every other club does except us. So I think that's it. But then you're right. Ten Hag does have to take responsibility for continuously picking Scott McTominay, for continuously picking players who are underperforming and not dropping them, and refusing to bend his tactics to the point where we need to stem the bleed. He does have to take responsibility for that. But I think there's a lot more issues that I would rather get sorted before I sack the manager. So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
I still want more because we've all watched the games against Brighton. Their team worth 30 million, played us off the park, beat us 3-1 at Old Trafford. Newcastle's C team played us off the park, beat us 3-0 at Old Trafford. Bournemouth, like, these guys, their budgets, shoestring budgets. They're spending like £3 million on players and stuff. And they have a clear style and a clear identity that I am seeing visibly in the game, and they're beating us with it. So, to go and really push for Anthony, who's 85 million quid. I mean, like, that's half of Brighton's team. Well, double Brighton's team, pretty much. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I'm losing patience with the manager. I'm getting there, to be honest with you. Adam, how do you feel? And a question to the chat as well. Ten Hag in or out? Talk to me.
As Sam said, there's a lot more bigger issues, I think, at the club right now. We need to kind of eliminate. There's also this culture in the team right now where players who come here think they've made it and they have nothing to prove. But, like, for me, like, if I was a player these days and you had that mentality, okay, you go to a big club, you get a big paycheck, whatever, you want to prove yourself. You don't want to be embarrassed. You want to prove yourself that you're actually good enough to play for one of the most famous clubs on the planet. One of the biggest clubs on the planet, arguably the biggest, most supported club on the planet. Yet these players constantly, and I don't know what it is, they just come in, whether it's like, it's almost like, it might be strong, but almost like cancer, where it's kind of gone through the club in the last 10 years, particularly in the dressing room, where it seems to have been passed down through players who have come in. And then we have players from, is it 4 or 5 different managers now who have been here long enough. And maybe that's rubbed off on them, and they're rubbing that off onto new players who are coming in then thinking they've made it. So the whole culture, that it really needs to change. And for me, I think what came out recently with Nemanja Matic about, people showing up late, and then they put all the money, the fines into kitty, and then they threw a party with that. So it's like rewarding them with the money that they've got. It should be going to charity, that money. Like, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't. You're rewarding bad behaviour. Since
Fergie left, you've had a history of players come in who clearly haven't got the right mentality in this club. Like, I hate picking on players and singling them out, but people like Paul Pogba, people like Jesse Lingard, like Memphis Depay at the time. Apparently he's changed now, but at the time, wrong type of profile and wrong type. Jadon Sancho, for example, it's the wrong type of player to be bringing in. Like, you look at the signings Fergie brought in, like the likes of Roy Keane, the likes of I'm fucking struggling for names now. Jesus Christ. Do you know what I mean? Like, he brought in players who had the right mentality, but since then, it's just been a hodgepodge and a history of just absolute wrong attitude, wrong type of players past their prime, spunking too much money on could-be players and them not working out, not developing them properly. And that's just it. Just rinse and repeat, man. Rinse and repeat. Every fucking manager, it's the same thing. And now we're left with this pile of broken toys where it's just like, well, he was going to be good, but his Ballon d'Or closed, but now he can't stay fit and he's made a paper. Oh, he was really, really good once, but we got him past his prime and now he's on a ridiculous wage. Oh, he was going to be the next big talent, so we overpaid for him and gave him a shit ton of wages and now he doesn't play for us anymore. It's a mess. It's a fucking mess of a club, man. The club's a fucking mess.
You know, one signing I'd like to see, somewhat again, not just the sort of style and the profile. And I think he was very, very hard done by at United, overly criticised a lot. He always gave everything when he actually did play and constantly ran. And he'd perform a lot better than the players out there right now. It's Dan James. I know it sounds crazy. He at least he fucking worked his backside off, and he had that mentality where he did want to actually prove, okay, ultimately he wasn't good enough, but at least he tried. And there's a lot of players out there who aren't trying on the pitch now.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Look, I think we can finish it there, lads. We've got a lot off our chest there. United now just the Premier League and FA Cup to focus on. I mean, probably not the FA Cup for a long time. We'll have 1 or 2 games. We'll probably get knocked out of that.
I mean, we've got Wigan, haven't we? So we'll probably get knocked out by Wigan in the FA Cup.
It's just a write-off, and it's a 2-year syndrome of a manager. Like, comes in first year, does fantastic from a disastrous year the year before, and then second year, boom, it's in a bit. I think Sir Jim Ratcliffe, Ineos, Dave Brales, but Jean-Claude Blanc has got a lot of fucking work to do. A lot of work. Ain't no quick fix, and the clock is ticking.
Do you reckon they want to back out now? Do you reckon they've seen the books and seen the stuff and gone, "Fuck, this is too much
like
now"?
When they've done the 2 days into the 100-day review, and they've gone,
like, nah, pull the plug, pull the deal now.
No,
like.
thank you. This is what is even happening. This is a mess, mate. It's just a mess. Right, thank you to Manchester United for ruining another week/weekend, whatever you want to call it, for us. We crashed out of Europe. No Europa League. Some people will say that's a positive. Yeah. I am off to go film the pros and cons. God knows what I'm going to talk about, but that should be out tomorrow. And yes, I don't.
Liverpool on Saturday.
Yeah, so I was thinking on Tuesday. So it was Sunday we played Liverpool, innit? So we won't have the review till Friday, to be fair, but keep an eye out for that one, because that one's going to be fun. But yeah, apart from that, keep an eye out for pros and cons. A couple of news shows coming your way. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, smash a like on the video. Thank you to Adam and Sam, as always, for holding the fort down.
No problem.
And we will see you guys in the next one.
Peace.
Peace.